This is part of the Caribbean history in England.
The race relations debate changed quite radically during the 60s.
Notting Hill has a particular significance in the life of black people in this country.
It is the only major cultural institution that has an authorship that is black.
The people came and made it an event. And if you don't understand that, you do not understand Carnival at all.
The main traditions we drew on was based on the carnival that most of us were familiar with in Trinidad and Tobago. Carnival has a historical continuity. It's rooted very much post-emancipation in the struggle for freedom. So it's important to recognize that historical root. And that long link with rebellion, with resistance, very much is in evidence here in Notting Hill. Trinidad Carnival also has a link to European festivals because there's a historical colonial relationship with Trinidad and Tobago from the metropolitan countries of Spain, Portugal, France, and the United Kingdom.
Wherever ex-slaves gather, whether it's in the south of America or Trinidad or Jamaica or whatever, the party with fun and dance is crucial.
Carnival was initially celebrated because the slaves were not allowed to walk the streets. So they ran onto the streets in song and dance in celebration of their freedom. So that was the carnival that we left in Trinidad. Now we come to Notting Hill, where when we started coming to England after World War II, in the early 50s, where there was so much racism, there was a major race riot in Notting Hill in 1958. And it was about black people who were here claiming the right and the freedom to live freely within the community of Notting Hill.
The carnival has a number of origins, all of them contested. There's certainly a notion that the mother of carnival, Claudia Jones, started the first carnival at St Pancras Town Hall.
In a famous London ballroom, a West Indian get-together. A Caribbean carnival, they called it, I believe.
Claudia Jones saw carnival as a process by which she can celebrate her people's achievements. She agreed that the proceeds from the sale of tickets for the carnival shall be used to pay for the legal fees of those people arrested during the Notting Hill riots in the year before.
The first carnival I was in England, I cried, tears. Because all they had was a carnival dance at Porchester Hall around Notting Hill. And some people wore costumes. But haltingly, I contest with a lot of people that carnival did not begin in those dances. It began on the street. Because carnival is the development of concealed practice into the open.
It came out of this cauldron, if you like, of hate that was expressed by white people towards black people in the 1950s in this country. I remember walking down the street just down here where I live, you know, being spat at, being bullied, and in fact being attacked by the British fascist movement who had their offices up the end of the street. There was a feel, I think, in the country then that something should be done, seriously done, in terms of community relations, in terms of race relations. And Carnival was always seen as part of that. Carnival's rootage was still that, because there are many political people involved in Carnival, you know. It isn't just people dressing up and dancing on streets. This is about community action.
We came out at the bottom of this road, Great Western Road. And then I look up and I saw a bus, 28 bus. And I thought, oh my God, these white people are going to think we are crazy. So every step was taken haltingly, you know. It's not, yeah, now you get that. But then, but it's the rhythm is there, but a little, with the quietude, you know. And that's how it began.
I first went to Carnival in 1973, and it was the first time I'd ever been to Carnival in London, and it was a magical moment. And there was a real pride that we had done this thing and that we had brought this thing to Britain.
There was not a gradual development. Suddenly one summer, we moved from about 10,000 people to 250,000. Where did they come from? Why did they come? Because they needed it. From all over England, Germany, Holland, France.
Carnival is the control of a space by people who don't have control of it normally. And that's why it attracts so much political attention. It doesn't matter where you are in the world and you have a carnival where people take over the streets, it's an important event and a dangerous event to any government. By the mid-70s, we knew that there was a real attack coming to the carnival. So by 1976, the Carnival of 76, when 3,000 police turned up instead of the usual 300, people knew that this was a problem, that there's going to be a problem in that particular carnival. The atmosphere in 76 was nearly of feeling assaulted. There were 3,000 police compared to 300 I said before, but they were all encamped on different corners of the area. It was really a kind of swamping situation. And as the day went on, the day became tenser and tenser, and what inevitably happened was a full-scale riot took place.
That year characterized Carnival, the reputation of Carnival. And so we had to work hard to get that reputation put aside and to also say to the young people, well, this is your thing, respect it, get involved. You know, there is stability now. You've got an organization you can relate to, and this organization is actually seeking your interest. And once they began to be convinced by that argument, suddenly more and more people started coming, started getting involved at grassroots level.
Performing on the street is fantastic. Being able to be in the open air and not stuck in the building, letting the public be free to see what's going on without having to charge them, and, you know, just expression of every individual, you know. And not everybody can afford sometimes to go to events to see these sort of things. So I think it's fun. It's got to be on the street because that's where it stems from, you know.
It makes me feel really proud that such a small country can make such a big impact in London, do you understand what I'm saying? Because Carnival is mainly from Trinidad and Tobago, you get me? So I'm really proud to say I'm a Trinidadian.
Yes, it has its roots in what happened and what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, but we are living in one of the largest cities in Europe, which is very diverse, with so many different communities and nationalities and backgrounds and cultures. So it's inevitable that we also bring about the opportunity for these cultures to intermingle and to help to develop a unique and distinctive London Carnival.
The Carnival did more to bring whites and blacks together than anything else. Nobody had ever seen so many people gather at ease than the Carnival.
Everybody gets along, it's a nice atmosphere, everyone's in the same atmosphere, everyone's having a good time, you don't get no trouble. It's exactly what you want, really.
In London, this is the only time as a West Indian community we can all come together and celebrate our culture.
Why Notting Hill, we might ask? Started in Notting Hill purely and simply because of the riots in 1950. And people came together and said, well, we've got to express a new way of relating to the host society. And there was this need to also express anger. There was a need to control anger, to contain the anger, which Carnival could do that as well as express it. So there is a tradition that comes from being British as well in Britain, as well as a tradition that you can trace back via colonialism and imperialism to slavery, through slavery, back into Africa.